Right now in the world, there is a destruction potential about 240,000 times that of the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, and I was literally terrified when I learned this fact. Moreover, in the second part of the video, I will explain what will happen to the phone in my pocket, the internet, and the technologies I trust so much after that apocalypse breaks out. I am sure you will not believe what you hear. But before I start, I would be very happy if you could give me a little support by liking the video down below and subscribing to my channel. If you are ready, I'm diving into that dark scenario. Yes, it is time to talk about that annoying topic. No matter how much the answer scares me, the best thing I can do as an ordinary citizen is to become aware. Now, in my previous video, I researched who has how many nuclear weapons, and I said the following about the destructive potential of the total ammunition currently in the world. Today, the total explosive capacity of the approximately 12,000 nuclear warheads in the world is about 2.4 to 3.6 million kilotons. That reaches the equivalent of 2,400 to 3,600 megatons of TNT. As I said, the subject is annoying, and I thought a lot about what awaits the world if a nuclear war breaks out as a result of an eclipse of reason. Calculating this is not easy at all, of course. I had to consider countless factors, such as in what situation, where, between whom, and under what conditions such a war would start. Because the subject is very sensitive, I decided it would be more accurate to base it on studies conducted by reliable sources, instead of doing this important analysis completely on my own. For this, I based it on a nuclear war simulation conducted at Princeton University in 2019 and the calculations of the Federation of American Scientists. Of course, I will have some additions too. The common starting point of these simulations is that they are based on the two countries I can currently see as nuclear powers in the world, America and Russia. These two countries, which hold 90% of all ammunition in their hands, will be the dominant actors of a possible future nuclear war. Let me warn you from the beginning, the possibilities I am going to talk about are not very pleasant. First of all, to relieve my heart a little, let me say that the possibility of such a nuclear war is very, very low. The reason for this is not that world leaders are very smart and humanists, of course. The real reason is that everyone actually knows very well that there will be no winner in such a war. That is why a special term was created for nuclear weapons. In short, they call it mutually assured destruction. In such a war situation, it is inevitable for all parties to destroy each other. But unfortunately, the outbreak of such a war could also be easier than I guessed, because all the simulations tell me this. The outbreak of a nuclear war could depend on a single nuclear missile launched by any side. The main purpose of this type of attack is to target their ammunition to prevent the enemy from counterattacking. According to the simulation prepared by the Princeton Science and Global Security Program, Russia fires a nuclear warning shot from a base near Kaliningrad to stop the advance. The other side responds with a single tactical nuclear missile. The arrow leaves the bow once. Russia launches over 300 nuclear warheads. The other side responds with 180 warheads, and within the first 3 hours, the death toll reaches 2.6 million. Immediately after, hundreds of warheads launched from submarines come into play. In just 45 minutes, the expected death toll is over 85 million. I really could not believe it when I read these numbers. Even on the first day, nearly 100 million people lose their lives instantly. If the cities of the great powers of the world are targeted mutually, this number can go up to around 300 to 400 million direct casualties. And this is just the beginning, because the real disaster begins after the explosions. On the first day,
Massive fires start in hundreds of cities. Cities are not concrete, they're full of plastic, fuel, and chemicals. These fires send 100 to 150 million tons of soot into the atmosphere. Sunlight is cut off. Global temperature can drop by 10 or even 20 degrees, a cooling faster than even the last ice age.
When I leave the first year behind, I see that agriculture has collapsed. Global food stocks are only for a few months. According to large-scale nuclear war simulations, the hunger crisis that will emerge causes the death of nearly 5 billion people in the worst-case scenarios. 5 billion. Before moving on to that most striking point of the story where technology ends, if you have watched this far and still have not subscribed, I am asking you to take a second and click the subscribe button. Now come, let us take a closer look at what awaits those who manage to survive in that dark future. At this point, I could not help but ask, so what will happen to technology after these 5 billion people are gone? Let us say the year is 2300. Will giant artificial intelligence robots roam the streets? Will there be flying cars in the sky? As I researched, I saw how primitive and shocking the truth is. Nuclear war did not just destroy cities, it also wiped out that infrastructure I trusted so much. For example, you know those smartphones that are the first thing I reach for when I wake up in the morning and take with me even to the toilet? In the year 2300, they will just be meaningless, cold black pieces of glass. As I imagine those priceless phones I pay a fortune for today being used by survivors only to dig the dirt or reflect the sunlight as mirrors, I really feel weird. Because there will not be a single outlet left to charge it, a single base station to send a signal, or even a single satellite working in orbit. And what about the internet I connect to every second? I am so used to finding even the smallest thing that comes to my mind on search engines in seconds right now. But in the year 2300, that giant system they call the cloud will literally just be toxic ash clouds in the sky. All those digital archives, billions of gigabytes of information, encyclopedias, this video you were watching, all of them will be erased forever as giant data centers melt in nuclear flames. If I found a torn encyclopedia page blown by the wind in that dark world, I would probably rejoice as if I found the world. The internet of the new world will no longer be in fiber optic cables, but will consist of gossip whispered by merchants traveling on horseback from village to village. My daily life will also completely rewind. Today, I turn on the lights in my house with my voice. Smart devices manage my life. But when that electrical grid is gone, that giant touchscreen refrigerator in my kitchen will turn into just a rusted metal cabinet with a rotten, heavy-smelling inside. To survive, I will have to store my food, not with technology, but by pressing it in salt and drying it in the sun like cavemen. Those autonomously driven, battery-powered, super-technological vehicles will be piles of rusted scrap blocking the roads and entered only to take shelter. I will not be able to press the button on my smart thermostat to warm up. I will have to collect wood from the forest or even dried animal dung so as not to freeze. So when the year 2300 arrives, I will see humanity return to slingshot technology instead of high technology. Stone spears, handmade arrows, and slingshots will be the most valuable inventions of the new era to hunt and survive. Humanoid robots designed in those giant laboratories today, or all-knowing artificial intelligence systems, will just remain as legends told to children around the campfire at night. Iron skeletons buried in the sand in radioactive deserts. I always imagined the future as a brighter cyberpunk world full of interstellar travel, but I understand that when madness strikes enough to press a button, the destination waiting for us is not the future, but a dark and cruel Stone Age. So, could you manage to survive in this primitive world with only a slingshot and a useless black piece of glass in your hand? Be sure to share it with me in the comments. Come on, subscribe right now and support me, please.